Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanished. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Slim Duncan, he go hard in the street. Rest in peace to Slim.
Slim Duncan out here, man.
Slim Duncan.
Slim Duncan, ultimate, and then when Slim died, I just felt like I wanted to run away from everything I did because mentally, emotionally, physically, I would leave it in the right state of mind. Like when Slim died, I didn't give a shit about nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like people was fighting over who gonna be in his spot, like who walk a little tree like Slim Duncan, or, you know, like gay shit, like niggas wearing his clothes, or I can't trust people because that was my best friend to trust, you know what I'm saying? How we developed the skill to going out to the world, it just like it was hard, you know what I'm saying? So everything I had, I just wanted to let go of it, you know what I'm saying? Like start really all over again. So now I feel like I'm in the process of starting over.
Breaking right now, a rapper with close ties to rapper Gucci Mane has been killed, and the shooter is on the run. It happened tonight on Memorial Drive in southeast Atlanta. Police say the rapper Slim Duncan arrived this evening for a video shoot when someone opened fire.
Discharged that weapon at least one time, striking Mr. Hamilton in the chest. At this point, we have not been able to determine a motive behind the actual argument itself. However, homicide investigators have questioned at least 7 or 8 individuals that were inside of the building.
Duncan, whose real name is Mario Hamilton, has close ties to rappers Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka Flame. They were not there when that shooting happened.
On the scene, outlining the chalk, trying to show you got heart, but all you are is smart. If you're smart, you just shut your mouth, claiming that you're balling out, but everything you got is hand me down like 50 ounce. Want me down, I'm fresh. What these niggas about? Fuck that shit, real nigga shit, Fuck these niggas, tell him I said it, nigga. Fuck him, this our club, nigga. So icy, nigga. Southside Mars, Fat 5 Fuck that nigga. Tell him I said it. Swear, man, in this bitch. That shit so sick.
Yeah, I ain't Mario. What you do, baby? I know, man. This is my dog right here. This is my dog. Hey, fuck with Figure 8 the long way. Figure 8 the long way, but every Friday we in this bitch, man. Stuff and shit, T, buddy. Y'all already slow, nigga. Shout out to motherfucking some ice in this bitch, nigga. We here, though. We putting the South Side on, nigga. South Side stand the fuck up, boy.
Shit. Your average Southside Clayton County street dude. I came up with my bro, Walker. Everybody knows my big homie, so he was doing music. He was like, bro, you need to do it. So I got in the game with him. We jumped into it head first. He got Slim Duncan.
So that was just about, what, a couple years ago?
A year ago.
A year ago. Were you rapping at all before that, or that was your...
About a year. I get probably about a year to a couple of months. I did Twin Towers. I really wanted to hit them hard, like, you know, because I ain't want to put it, I knew niggas be putting out music and they really can't rap. And I'm like, well, I really can't rap like that. So, but nigga just fuck with me because they know I'm talking about fish shit and like, he really did that shit, he really. So I just tried to keep rapping, like maybe I get fired this shit. So then I dropped that bill for interrogation and like kind of showed them like, oh boy, I'm really built for this shit. I can do it a little bit. So then I did that, and I'm turning around. I did the Bad Boy with Kid.
What have been your biggest songs so far, like the ones that people really fuck with?
You know, everybody fucking with that same shit. I guess because everybody feel like that. Like, so same shit really been a big record. And then, you know, street dudes, they be fucking with that. A lot of people fucking with that interrogation room, like street niggas. And I got a couple songs for the bitches, but none of that don't count if I ain't getting no check for it, you know, so.
What are the plans as far as that goes, like as far as taking things to the next level?
I don't know, the people got to fuck with me. If they don't fuck with me, then I can't take it no more.
Well, when you put out your first tape, like what was the response that made you want to keep going? Like what were people telling you? Or
when I put out the first tape, they like, bro, you fire, bro, you did, bro. I'm like, hey, I'm listening to it and I can hear it, so I'm like, I'm what? Hell no, this shit ain't tight. So then he like, bro, you fire, I swear. So nigga, well, and I'm reading the comments. At first when people tell me I'm fire, I'm like, hell no. But then I start reading comments on the little shit, and they go like, Slim Duncan this, Slim Duncan go hard, Slim Duncan. And then you got the haters on there too saying, Slim Duncan suck. I take that too though, but for just to touch certain people, for certain people like, all right, home the truth, he go off. So when I seen that and I saw that people would really fuck on me, then I'm like, all right, bet. I'm gonna keep doing it. And whatever I do, I try to be. If I ain't the best, I'm gonna put myself. I ain't gonna let nobody just shit on me. So.
You got about 4 tapes deep within a year. I mean, do you think you're getting better?
Yeah. That crazy. I feel like I can really rap like then before I like now I get on song with nigga that I used to be like, man, that nigga fire. And I get on song, I be like, I don't really be in no competition like, damn, I just killed him or nothing like that. But I be like, damn, he ain't do how I thought he'd do. Like you get on song, you be like, man, this nigga finna eat my ass. But then I get on song with a nigga, and as long as I just feel like I'm keeping up and talking about the same, I'm talking about shit. A lot of these rap niggas be lying. These niggas not telling the truth. So that would make me feel like I'm getting better, cause I can increase my vocabulary, touch folk, and now I learn how to rap fast a little bit. So y'all gonna be in trouble. I think I'm twisted or something.
For the people who don't know, what city do you represent? What side of town and all that?
I represent the south side of Clayton County. I represent South Side, Clayton County. I really represent any young nigga that ain't never had shit. Any young nigga who went through the struggle and went through, and you feel me, wherever you at and whoever, you feel me, I'm the representation of them folk that people don't understand. They be like, why he act like that? Why he this? Them niggas need pills, they need Ritalin. All that shit, that's who I represent. If anybody ever told you need Ritalin, anybody ever told you wasn't gonna be shit, anybody ever told you anything that's bullshit and that false, my nigga, you can get money, you can do what you want, and you can live how you want to live. Don't let them folk lie to you and say, oh boy, you gotta go to the army, cause that's some bullshit. Don't let them lie to you and tell you, oh, you gotta go to college, just find your hustle. That's what I represent. I represent niggas trying to really get money and niggas trying to do something besides the basic way of going through life. Oh, I'm gonna go through life. I'm gonna go get a job, or I'm gonna go I'm gonna go to college for 4 years. Cause I know a lot of niggas that went to college that ain't got shit. So that's who I represent. Clayton County, stand the fuck up.
Sometimes trouble does seem to find you and your crew and all that. I mean, is that something you think you bring upon yourself, or is that just, you know, just because people hating? Or talk to me about that situation, like as far as that goes.
If anybody know me though, they know I'm quiet in here. I don't really talk. So for a nigga to do anything to me, I mean, for me to do anything to somebody, it got to be provoked. Like, I don't say nothing to nobody if I don't. But before that rap shit, I wasn't talking to nobody. I walk in the club, I ain't looking at you, I ain't talking to you, I ain't shaking no hand. But then I became more people person when I started rapping. Like, damn, I gotta fuck these folk just so they don't feel like I'm being a dickhead. But I don't talk to nobody, and I got an army around me. Yeah, and I got a bunch of my niggas around me, but we won't take no shit, we won't start no shit, you feel me? So when you come up and you tough, and then you gotta look at the crowd that I'm in, fighting is gonna happen in the crowd that I'm in, the air I'm in, cause everybody around me broke. Everybody in the same club I'm in, they come in that motherfucker, they just spent their last dollar, in that motherfucking club. They in their club, they not finna let you bump them, they not finna let you step on their shoe, and I'm not gonna let you bump me, and I'm not gonna let you do nothing out of the ordinary to me. So I just feel like when the life you choose and the people you be around, that shit, like, that who gonna separate, you feel me? If I was getting a job, I wouldn't be fighting every day. So could I say I provoke it? I don't provoke it, but I know what's gonna come when you go to the club on the south side, when you go to the club on the west side, when you go to this club on the east side. Big hole in the wall, that club with a bunch of young niggas that don't know nothing but fight and shoot. What gonna happen? Either you built for it or you not. I just feel like I don't start no trouble, but
All new at 5, insight into the murder of a rapper at an Atlanta music studio. Channel 2's Ryan Young live in Southeast Atlanta with how detectives now say it all started over a piece of candy. Ryan?
Justin, we actually got rare access to this story today. I want to show you this. This is the piece of candy. They sell several items like this inside the studio, and apparently the rapper grabbed a piece like this from another man inside. They got to arguing over it, then it started a fight, then led to a shooting.
He was actually shot right where I'm standing.
I got rare access to a crime scene this afternoon in hopes of helping to catch a killer.
Victor Mario Hamilton, known in the rap community and the recording industry as Slim Duncan.
Slim Duncan, a young up-and-coming artist, was shot and killed at this recording studio on Memorial Drive this past Friday. Veteran homicide detective David Quinn shows me where the rapper was before he was shot.
Slim Duncan was inside this particular room when, according to witnesses, someone came in, struck him, and a fight ensued. Now, the information we're getting, and it's unconfirmed, but witnesses are saying that this whole thing started over a piece of candy.
A piece of candy that looks like what I'm holding in my hand. Duncan, who stood 6'8", was bigger than his attacker. That man then ran and got a gun and shot Slim Duncan.
This fight spilled out into this area where he was attacked and beat. Based on the evidence that we have, whoever he was fighting with secured a weapon and shot him, whereupon he landed in this table area.
That night, the studio was packed because another artist was supposed to shoot a video here.
There were at least 20 or 30 people in this studio at the time. Now, the fact that Atlanta police arrived on call to Grady Hospital first, we didn't have the opportunity to speak to any of those people. We came here almost an hour and a half later.
Now, they came an hour and a half later because the folks here at the studio drove Slim Duncan to Grady Hospital. Now, what they're hoping is some of the people here will contact police and give them the information they need so they can catch this killer. But I can tell you, in all the years I've been covering homicides, I don't ever remember someone getting killed over a piece of candy. We're live in Southeast Atlanta. Ryan Young, Channel 2 Action News.
Man, I still can't believe that shit happened like that. Salute to the almighty MOBB. What up, though? The Shade's Popalot. We back on MOBB business. We just crossed state lines into Georgia. You know we headed to the A. Y'all pop out on the south side. Now, as y'all might know by now, this story is going to take us back to one of my favorite times in hip-hop. And that year is going to be 2011. And in that year, some of the staples and main names in hip-hop, even today, will go on to drop albums like Kanye West with Watch the Throne, Drake with Take Care, Kendrick Lamar with Section 80, J. Cole would go on to release Cold World, and shit, Lil Wayne would even release the Carter 4. And looking at XXL's freshman list for that year, it kind of blew my mind as I noticed it would include 2 rappers that we had lost in recent years, and Fred the Godson and Mac Miller. The list would also include artists that I would consider as superstars now, with Meek Mill and Kendrick Lamar. And some people would even say YG. And the list would be finished off with guys like Big Crit, Shada Prince, Little Twist, Yellow Wolf, and Diggy Simmons. Now, one up-and-comer from that time that's not on that list that could have and probably should have been is going to be the person that we're covering today. And that's going to be former 1017 Brick Squad artist Mario Slim Duncan Hamilton. Now, for you guys whose memory can go that far back, because we talking more than a decade. If you remember the climate of music at that time, I don't really have to tell you that So Icy Entertainment, which would go on to become 1017 Brick Squad, was one of the hottest collectives making music at this time, even without their leader, Gucci Mane, who at this time was on his wild out shit. Because just in April of 2011, he would be arrested 2 times in the span of about a week, on April 13th on a battery charge, and on April 20th on 2 charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Gucci Mane, no stranger to trouble, would had just been released on May 12th, 2010. But even without Guap, the label seemed to still be able to hold their own with their stable of up-and-coming artists, OJ the Juice Man, as well as Waka Flocka Flame. Waka, who by this time had also semi-made a name for himself after becoming a staple on the mixtape circuit with a semi-up-and-coming DJ that, in my eyes, would go down in trap music history, the Trapaholics. Shout out my guy Santos. And Wak would really hit his wave, constantly releasing his Salute Me or Shoot Me series. And as Waka was working his way to be a household name, there would begin to be a lot of talk about another artist that was associated with the label that would appear on projects with Waka going back to 2009. That artist being Slim Duncan, who would get his feet wet on the 2009 collaboration project with Waka, Twin Towers, following that project up with the DJ Holiday assisted Menace to Society in 2010. So by the time 2011 would roll on and they would drop the sequel to their first project, Twin Towers 2, No Fly Zone, as well as Waka releasing the 3rd tape in his Waka Flocka James series that would feature Slim heavily, you knew that he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. And with his high energy level, he would start to receive comparisons to his label mate and close friend that brought him into the game, Waka Flocka Flame, with some people even saying that he was a more lyrical version of Waka. And with so much potential, you would have to assume that he would be doing everything that he could to do exactly what he would see Waka and Gucci do in the music game. But that would include staying away from street shit. And just as Slim Duncan would build his name in the music game, he also built a name or a reputation for somebody that was not afraid to get his hands dirty. And that's probably no surprise with him being associated with music, and more than that, being associated with Brick Squad, as during this time, it would be a lot of videos popping up, some showing Waka in altercations, with one video looked like it erupted into a full-blown riot inside a bowling alley, Dave & Buster's kind of type situation. Then there would be the infamous block party on Old National Highway on the 4th of July in 2010, where Slim Duncan would find his way through the crowded block party to knock out somebody associated with or probably just wearing a CTE shirt, as the two groups, CTE and 1017, would be at a full-scale war at this time, with the two CEOs of the label, Jeezy and Gucci, going head-to-head in a rivalry that would eventually become deadly. Then some of us might remember a situation with a former collaborator and Grove Street General, Kibo Gotti, and Slim Duncan in an act that looked like him defending his close friend, and it might have been over some statements that Kibo Gotti made about Slim Duncan as well, would make his way to their neighborhood for a fade with Kibo Gotti that would be captured and also uploaded on the internet, even leaving Kibo Gotti, who would admit that he got the best of Slim, to almost praise how much of a real nigga that Slim Duncan was, for one, coming to catch the fade, and for two, coming by himself. going as far in one video to say, quote, "I love you, boy. You playing for the wrong side." So making a name for himself in the booth, as well as making a name for himself with his fists. He seemed headed for stardom with his street reputation backing up exactly what he was saying on the records. But it would be a situation that would occur 9 days before Christmas on December 16th, 2011, that nobody would see coming and would shake 1017 to the core. While at a recording studio preparing to shoot a music video, Slim Duncan would get into an altercation with another man in the studio, Vincent Hardiman, who also was an aspiring artist that went by the name of Young Vito. And when the news and the circumstances surrounding his death will be reported, it will come across as not only one of the most senseless deaths in hip-hop history, but just history, period, as the details would emerge that it was over a piece of candy. According to most of the accounts, Slim Duncan would take a piece of candy from Young Vito, sparking a fight between the two inside of the studio. Slim, who stood just as tall as Draymond Green or LeBron James or some shit, and like I mentioned earlier, was no stranger to exchanging sweat, sounded like he would get the best of Vito during that exchange, with Vito even testifying at his murder trial that it seemed like he was getting jumped, like they was always pulling Slim Duncan off of him, but almost loosely pulling Slim Duncan off of him. He would explain it as a series of scuffles that would go from like the studio engineering room out to the hallway. And during his testimony, he would explain one of the last times that he would fall to the floor and Slim Duncan would give him a kick from a Timberland to the head that would essentially kick hair off of his head, testifying further about how that kick would pretty much knock him into a daze. Then he would explain a situation where it sounded like the fight was beginning to calm down, but then he would start to check for his belongings, where he explained he was supposed to get his son something, so he had a certain amount of money in his pocket. So that's the first thing that he checked. Once he secured the money, he would secure his keys, and then he would have an issue finding his phone. And to me, listening to his testimony, that's what changed the entire situation. And a scenario that almost plays out to me like the no-plug bankroll situation, where they would get into the scuffle and he would have to return due to an item that he left. I can't remember if it was a gun, if it was a phone. But just like that situation, Young Vito couldn't leave the studio, or he was not willing to leave the studio without his phone. He would testify that he felt like he was outnumbered, so he might have needed to call 911, even explaining that the friends that he came with seemed like they turned on him in a situation where it seemed like they were starstruck by Slim Duncan and the other guys that was at the studio. And the quest to find his phone, it would lead him back towards the engineer room into the studio booth. And he would say how Slim Duncan took off his shirt. He would describe to the jury exactly what Slim Duncan was wearing, saying he had a BSM chain and the Gumby chain that he was known for wearing. But he also saw a firearm. Now, I'm not sure if it should have been the fact that he was outnumbered, bro just kicked hair off his head, or he seen bro with a gun that should have let him know that he probably wasn't going to find that phone. But his quest would end up bad for him and Slim Duncan, because he said he would find himself in the studio booth where he would ask a partner that came with him to go into his bag and give him a computer and a laptop charger. Not sure why the fuck he needed that. But he said during the course of his partner bringing that, he handed him the entire bag, and in his bag is where he had the gun. And before that night would be over, Slim Duncan would lose his life at the young age of 24, and young Vito would be on the run for a murder charge. At trial, he would go on to be acquitted of the murder charge, but he would be slapped with a 25-year sentence when he would be given a maximum penalty for murder and the death of Slim Duncan. And really, if you ask me, after the death of Slim Duncan, 1017 never really was the same, because if everybody remembers, Waka and Gucci would end up falling out over a beef that Gucci Mane would have with Waka's mom, Deb Antony. But more than that, I really want to say that it would be the death of his very close friend, Slim Duncan, that would affect Waka the most, going immediately to Twitter after finding out of Slim Duncan's death, saying how it should have been him, saying how his right hand was gone. He would even express in an interview months later how he was still dealing with a high level of grief because he was the one that brought Slim Duncan into the rap game, even making the statement, "What if I didn't bring him in?" So you could really only imagine how hard that hit him, as well as hurting 1017 by losing a talent like Slim Duncan. Now, was y'all fucking with Slim? Y'all get in the comment box. Let us know something. And if so, y'all let us know your favorite song. And not only that, y'all let us know where y'all think Slim Duncan would be in the game today. What artists would y'all compare Slim Duncan to? And I just thought about it. Was his name a play on Tim Duncan? Or was he just Slim Duncan because he was 6'8" and he can probably dunk? Now that's the wild shit that I be thinking in my head. Y'all make sure y'all hit the red subscribe and the bell right under this video so y'all know when this real Trill Spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all let me know where we need to go, what stories we need to tell, what cities we haven't been to, what gangsters we missed. What's the first thing that comes to your head when you think about Slim Duncan? Y'all tap in with me on IG, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all know the rundown. I'm going to be back on MOBB Business ASAP. It's your amigo, Pop. MOBB.